right, everybody, come on in. It's time for another chit chat with Auntie Maggie and Tia Lucy. Come on in, everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. For anybody new here, hi, I am Maggie, Maggie, the substitute teacher. You may know me for my cooking channel. I make food and femininity content. Lucy and I are the proud founders of the Finishing School for the Modern Woman, which is a course that we teach twice a year live. It's coming up in a couple of weeks, ladies, so registration will be closing soon. There's a coupon code for you down in the description. We teach ladies who want to be the best version of themselves, all about femininity, elegance, and etiquette. And then, as our way of giving back to the community, we come out here live with you all twice a week and give our perspective as the older women teaching the young. So, Lucy, please introduce yourself and then I'll share what we're talking about today.
Hi, Maggie. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. Yes, I'm Lucy. And as Maggie says, you may know me by my channel that is basically, it has content about teaching Spanish, but then this year I decided to move the content to more topics related to femininity, elegance, and things that impact women over a certain age. So I got this notice from Maggie about this topic, and it is really interesting.
Yes, y'all, this is a doozy. So if you are easily offended, this is not the place for you today. We believe in traditional gender roles. We believe in traditional marriage. And that is what we talk about here from our own lived experience. Lucy and I are both older women with marriage and long-term relationship experience. So we are here to help the younger women who maybe do not know or did not have the same upbringing that we did and want that type of long-lasting outcome. If you want to do something different, that's fine. Do it over there. Over here, we are going to talk about husbands and wives and all the good things that come along with that. So I was on the interwebs. And, the content, obviously, you all know how the algorithm works. The content that you watch, it's going to feed more to you. That can be a good thing or a not so good thing. And since we make relationship content here from time to time, a video came up in my feed by a gentleman I have never heard of. Maybe you all know this man. I do not. His name is Casey Zander. And so the title is very shocking, and it is "Never," in all caps, live with a woman. And then in parentheses, it says, "My untold nightmare of female nature." So I didn't know what I was getting into, y'all. Of course, I clicked on the thumbnail because I wanted to know what happened to him. What was the nightmare? So what we're going to do is we are going to play the video and we are going to interrupt with our commentary, hopefully giving you all some teachable moments. If you want to watch the video uninterrupted, I always leave the link in the description. I've tagged the original content creator so you all can hear what he has to say. And then, of course, we love to hear what you all have to say. So we're going to get into it. The video is about 20 minutes, so, we'll probably break this up into a couple of parts. But let's see who we have in the chat. We have Mike Tacey. He says, "Good evening from the UK. Hope everyone is well. Thank you for the hands and heart. We appreciate you so much." Almond Eyes is here in the house. Been a while. Good to see you. Another content creator is here. Jessica Latvia is here. Thank you for being present, my dear. Hello, T. Riddler. Jurgen is here from across the pond. All right, everyone. So let me share my screen and we will begin. And again, if you disagree, that is fine. Nobody is trying to change your mind here. Do what works for you. All right, let's see.
Never under any circumstances should you ever live with a woman. Okay? I'm telling you this from personal experience, and stay tuned with me through this story because I very rarely, if ever, share legitimate personal stories, okay, about my life. I'm going to say that again. If you are not married as a man, never under any circumstances ever, and I mean ever, live with a woman, because you will see, okay, based on how society and how the world is set up, if things go south, you will see very, very quickly just how powerless you are. Okay. Years ago, one of my first girlfriends together,
I'm already fire hot. We're going to get in here right now. So hopefully you all heard the caveat. He said, unless you're married, do not, under any circumstances, live with a woman. And I want to expound as to why I think so from my perspective. I was married for 10 years, amicably divorced. I've told you all my story. Reformed modern woman. I thought my big job and my big career mattered. It does not. Second time around, I got on the program quickly. I did not live with my ex-husband before we were married, and I do not live with my man now and don't intend to until hopefully one day, if I am so fortunate, I'm able to remarry. One of the things that I thought about in preparation for this video, and he said, unless you are married, don't live with a woman. What I would assume is that when you live with someone and there is no defined role, if you believe, like we do, the late great Kevin Samuel said, being a wife is a job, ladies. There are roles in relationship. We believe that husbands have a role in their strength, wives have a role in their strength. We are not equal. We are equally valued, but we are very different. And I would assume if you just start living with someone and there's no hierarchy or roles and responsibilities set up, you're roommates. You're basically just splitting bills, sharing a roof over your head. And again, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. The problem comes in, ladies, if I would speak to the ladies, we have not earned his ring, his name, his protection, his provision. So we really don't have any rights to ask for anything. We're just kind of living there, if that's what you want to do. And then I always say I don't feel like I have a place to talk to men, but as a mom of boys, what I would tell my son and what we have told the boys is that in relationship, you lead, and we are raising them to lead. And you find the woman that's going to get on your program. And I would say you're going to struggle living with a woman in a roommate situation when you ask things of her, when you expect things of her, when you want her to do things as your Mrs., and she's going to be giving you lip like, who are you to talk to me? Again, never lived with a man, but I just wanted to say that that is one of the reasons why marriage is important, in my opinion. What would you add, Lucy?
I agree, but I have to give you the other side. I lived with my ex-husband and my current husband. We lived in sin. It was a really, really horrible situation with my parents because, again, when I met my first husband, I was intact. I had had no boyfriends, no nothing. I mean, I think I could tell you the story about my other marriage, but I think it's just I don't want to relive it. It's over. It's been over for 20 years and that's that. But I think that it makes it easier for women that have already done that to say, you know what, let me go. With me, it was different because, my parents were there. I knew that we were living in a bad situation. And I think the commitment on my part was there. It wasn't on his, but then, we can talk about it later. I don't know if I'll ever share that. But again, it makes it easier for either party to say, you know what, if this doesn't work out, I can always walk out. The marriage is not there. The marriage of commitment and, I'm going to stay here for better, for worse, for richer, for sickness and health. You're not bound to those, to that promise to each other. So again, I think my sisters, they never lived with anyone. They've been married, all of them over 20 years. So again, it makes a difference when you marry and then, you live a life together. There's not that easy way out when you've already just, set the marriage and you're here from now until the end of your life.
I'd agree. All right. Feel free to share what you all think in the chat. Again, we're here to tell you what we've done right as well as what we've done wrong. I think that's how we help when we are honest. We're going to get back in here and let's see what his experience was.
We were living together. Okay. And this was something that I've never shared on this channel. This is something that I've never shared with any of you. And it might be kind of hard for me to open up fully about this. So maybe give me 30 seconds to a minute to work my way into this. Okay. So one of my first girlfriends, when we were together, we lived together for probably a year and a half. And based off of, you know, my personal taste in women and based off of, her attitude and some of the things that I noticed, I clearly could see at a very, short time that it was an absolutely crucial mistake that I made in my life. Okay. Now, as a young man at the time in his early 20s, you don't know what you don't know. Okay. So that's what you have to remember is for some of you who you're in this channel and you think, man, how does one get to the point where they have wisdom to share about men, masculinity, life, dating, women, leveling up, making money? Well, it's not only because I came from absolute rock bottom and was completely self-made, but every single issue you have ever ran into or seen with women, I have also seen. Because of that, I can give back at a higher level. Living with this girl, okay, there's certain behavior that I just don't like, and like at night, I'm laying down, I'm sleeping. She would always fall asleep before me. Okay. She'd always fall asleep before me. And just because I have like ADD or whatever, I'm an entrepreneur, it's hard for me to turn my brain off. I'm always thinking about business. I'm thinking about things I want to do. I'm thinking about how I want to develop my life. It's hard for me to turn off. That's how I am. It's a blessing because obviously I can get a hell of a lot of stuff done and I can stay real focused. But it's a curse because, well, everybody can like turn off. I have no off switch. That's what sucks. She'd always fall asleep before me. And as she'd fall asleep before me, as her attitude would progressively get worse and worse through the relationship, meaning like who she was in the beginning was not who she turned out to be. And that typically happens the closer you get to a woman. You start to see that, the spark or the chemistry or what was in the beginning isn't what continues the more you invest as a man. And obviously I was invested because we were living together. I'd lay there at night and I'd look at her when she's sleeping and I'd think to myself, is this really the best I can do?
All right, ladies, buckle up, buttercup. We're going to hurt some feelings. And I don't mean to, but I have really been thinking about this a lot, and so many things as he tells his story are coming to mind. I was actually talking to Thane earlier today, and when he said, I don't know if you all heard this, and he said immediately or very quickly after they had moved in together, he recognized it was a mistake. I wonder how many women think they are winning because they are there. Think you are winning because he's spending time with you. Think because you're winning because he's spending money on you or paying bills. Ladies, hear me and hear me well. You are always being evaluated. You are always competing, even if you are presently there, right there. Lucy and I talk about that a lot. We continue to compete for our men, and we've been together for decades, but we continue to give them reasons to choose us. So I love that he said he knew it was a mistake from the beginning. The other point that brings up, ladies, is that, and this is one of the things that Thane told me, there are some bells that you just cannot unring. So if you started a relationship disingenuous, if you started a relationship as the fun girl, if you started the relationship with the bad attitude or whatever your flaws are, we all have them, but whatever your flaws are, and then you want to turn the rules and say, no, take me seriously. Now I'm ready. Oh, I didn't know you were that kind of man. Okay, like I'm really ready to get on the program. It's too late. Men look at how we show up from the beginning because that's really who we authentically are. Now, you can be a work in progress. We're all working. Shout out to the finishing school. But either you are presenting yourself as a wife or you're not. So I wanted to say those two things. Be your authentic self from the beginning, and you are always being evaluated. What would you add, Lucy?
That reminds me of that quote that says the best predictor of bad behavior is past behavior. So again, men are looking at that. You know how we always say our men are watching us. We have men right now watching us. They won't comment, they won't say anything. They're listening to what we're doing, they're watching how we're behaving, and that's exactly what they're doing to every single woman that could possibly be their potential mates. So again, ladies, if you want to get into a relationship in a marriage, remember that the men are watching you. Those men that are loving on you, they're watching every behavior that you're doing so he can make a decision whether you are a fun part or you are one that will get his commitment, because it only takes one time for that man to say, I'm committed to her. That's it.
Thank you all so much. World Class says, I like what I'm hearing. Wonderful. We're happy to give back. And I saw Celine says, I want to live independently before I get married. It is important to be able to take care of yourself. But ladies, especially if you're young, it's okay. I lived with my parents until I was married. It's okay. I think men appreciate that protection. Let us continue.
Because if I look at the trajectory of my life right now, if this continues, I'm going to be with a woman who's average or slightly just above average, right? Nothing special. Okay, is this the best I can do with my circumstance? Is this the best I want to settle for in my dating life? Is this the best I want to settle for in a relationship? Is this the best quality of women I could potentially obtain as a young 20-something-year-old man? I lay down every single night and I'd look at her and I'd think about that. And after a month or two, I came to the conclusion that it was a no. There's no way I would settle, or there is no way I would say, this is it. This is the best I can get. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. And there's a difference in mindset and mentality, but stay tuned because the story gets whack. There's a difference in mindset between a man who knows deep down on a deep down level that he can generate options and one who can't. Okay. Now, I have a Rolodex of past women I've been with that are very attractive. And I don't forget about that. See, that's the thing, is every micro success builds up. If any of you ever struggle with your confidence too, what I'd advise you to do is write down every amazing interaction you've ever had with a beautiful woman. Write them down so you can see, hey, here's proof I am a cool guy, or I am confident. That's not something I've done, but what I can tell you is if you're a guy who struggles, it would definitely help. But I would lay at night and I would remember the beautiful women I've been with, or the amazing experiences I've shared with girls, or the nights when you'd have natural, authentic, organic chemistry with women who are very attractive. And I just lay and I'd look and I'd think, there's no way I'm going to settle for this. So,
All right, ladies, let's rip another Band-Aid off. For those of us who think we are in the driver's seat, we get to cherry pick the best. We're going to look at this man and compare him to all of the experiences that we've had. If you've had a lot of experiences, trust and believe. The man that you want is also comparing you to all of his experiences. And I don't know if you all heard this, but he said, and I don't know how long they lived together. We'll get to the end of the story, but he said within the first month or two, he realized, is this the best I can do? No. What does that tell us, ladies? Again, you don't have a lot of time to play around. I do coaching and consulting outside of YouTube. And I remember one woman told me after the man of her dreams slipped through her fingers, because she started by playing games, she said, and I quote, he only gave me 3 months. And of course, I got the big eyes, because I'm like, a man who is on his purpose is serious from the beginning and expects a woman to be serious from the beginning. And I don't know if you all heard this, but he said he thought about his own life's trajectory, not where he was right now, ladies, where he is going. The men that we want, the masculine men that we want, have a life plan. Maybe they're not sharing it with you, but believe me, they are on their purpose, which means they see themselves now, they see themselves in the short-term future, and they see themselves in the long-term future, and they are working every day to get to their goal. Hence my viral clip about men see themselves in the younger men. So my point is that he's looking at this woman who's laying peacefully asleep, completely oblivious that he is evaluating, is she capable for where I want to be? So you ladies who think you're going to wait, you're going to give your, life to the hot girl summer or have a lot of experiences that are useless, you are wasting your own time, because the man that you want is not only evaluating for now, he is evaluating for his future. So you need to be able to look at your future and see if it matches up with his future or not. You can do what you want to do. What would you add, Lucy?
Yeah, and I'm thinking, when he's watching her, because I can picture again, this is commentary or reaction on a woman's perspective. This is, as a woman, this is what I see. I see the man looking at her and probably thinking about all those little behaviors that he has seen up to that point that say she's not going to go, the long way with me. I don't see her being the person that's going to be my ride or die till the end. So again, that is something that from the beginning, ladies, you need to show your men that you're going to be with them from the beginning to the end. And I think that at that point, when he was looking and he was making all of those, planning for the future, he thought that that woman that was not going to be the one.
So there's a couple comments I want to address, and then we're going to get back to the video. Eric is talking about MGTOW as the answer for all men. I am not going to paint a broad brush. I understand that there are men that choose to go their own way. And like I said, ladies, gentlemen, do what works for you. We're here to give our perspective. I'm not going to tell you what to do or not do. But ladies, I would say this. There are men, and maybe even some women too, that's fine. But there are men that have chosen to avoid relationships at all cost. That's not what I believe in. Thankfully, that's not what my man believes in. And that's not what we are teaching our sons. We are teaching our sons that one of the most important decisions you make in life is who you choose to be your wife. So I look forward to an extended family one day. But if you choose not to marry, that's fine. So ladies, understand that the environment that we are in, we're here now, however we got here, men are not jumping through hoops to marry us just on the promise that we're going to be a good woman to them. We have to prove ourselves. This is the environment that we're in. So you have to know that the culture is already set up to not be pro-marriage. So we're going to have to be that salmon swimming upstream if that's what you want. If not, have it your way. We have Laurie Sue Cregan Clamped, who says, a woman who values her humanity doesn't wait for a man's approval or disapproval of her. She simply doesn't settle. And Lori also says, a woman who respects her own value, merit, and worth does not settle for someone settling for her. Understand, respectfully, I don't know if I say I disagree, but I will say this. Thank you for sharing your perspective. In traditional relationships, ma'am, the men choose. Now, if you want to buy a ring and you want him to get on your program and you want to put the burden on your back or be some type of partner or whatever, that's fine. That's not what we do over here. Over here, we believe in traditional gender roles. And because we want his name, his ring, his covering, his banner, his legacy, his network, we want to be in support of our husbands. The men do choose. Now, am I going to always get the man of my dreams? No. Is he always going to get the woman of his dreams? No. But if you want to be selected as a wife, yes, you can happily refuse. But if you even want to be in the running, I would argue that we need to move more intentionally, because it's not going to happen when we snap our fingers and clap our hands. That's why we have so many women past the wall crying online. Let us continue.
So one day I tried to, and here's the thing is, every single day in my life, no matter what, I would always keep composure, because I believe that that is extremely important as a man. Never in my life have I ever raised my voice at a woman. Never in my life have I ever called a woman a mean name or swore at her. Never in my life have I ever went off on a tangent and text paragraph after paragraph. Never have I ever blown up and lost emotional control. Now, for some of you wondering how to keep attraction in a relationship, that definitely is a big component. When a woman sees a man is completely grounded and can't be moved off center, extremely attractive. Here's another thing, though, that nobody tells you, especially in the online dating space, that scares the hell out of a woman. It scares the hell out of a woman because you have such a rock solid foundation. She wonders if you're ever going to be fully invested to the point where you will bend or break for her. See, since 99% of guys do that and operate that way, when she sees a guy will never go weak for her or for her sex under any circumstances, it scares them because they start to feel powerless. Okay. This point in the relationship, this woman could probably feel on some level that I was getting this vibe or I was wanting to dissolve things. And not to mention, this is going to sound cocky or this may sound arrogant, but I don't care because at the time, everything in my life was going up. I was lifting heavier weights in the gym than I ever have been before. I was making more money than I ever have been before. I was gaining more, I was having a bigger YouTube channel and a bigger fan base than I ever have before. I was all of a sudden being connected with well-known people, right? And this girl would see this. So I was clearly on my way up, right? I had multiple, influencers with 500,000, a million followers that are in my contacts that we're having conversations on the phone. All of a sudden I'm connecting with other either online business owners or entrepreneurs who are doing 7-8 figures per year. Like I was going up. Okay. And it's because I put in a lot of work. Now, what happened when I explained that I want to dissolve the relationship or I don't think we should see each other, or I think that, and obviously I'm the man and I was making far more money. I was the one majority paying for all of the expenses in the house. I wanted to dissolve the relationship. And when I did that, all hell broke loose. Now I'm going to cut right here for a second and take a breath so that way I can explain how this went down the right way.
All right, so let's unpack this. I see a lot of comments in the chat, so we're going to get to those as well. He made a comment that I wanted to respond to when he talked about manipulation. And if you all are new here, Lucy and I do this a couple times a week. There was an episode that we did, I think a couple of streams ago, where we talked about toxic wife traits. And I think one of them, of course, we talked about selfishness and the walls we build up and, the worry and some other things, but it all boils down to the red thread of manipulation. Now, ladies, I say this as a woman myself, but we are hardwired to try and get what we want by any means. And that's, I understand there are some genetic reasons why, we want what we want, but manipulation doesn't work on the kind of men that we want. You can call them high value. I've been using the term masculine. Thane calls them resolute. You may call them alpha, a man on his purpose, whatever. But the man that you actually want and admire, your tears aren't going to work. Your crying for gifts and whining is not going to work. Your pouting is not going to work. And a lot of times when women don't really have the substance to really go the distance in a real relationship, and the little tricks that they've learned along the way don't work on the caliber of men that they really want, because it has worked on the caliber of men that they've wasted time with, then you start to see them come unglued. So I wanted to call that out. Lucy, what would you add?
Yeah, and it's important to remember that the caliber of men that will stay in their frame, that will not, your temper tantrums that you throw for any little thing will not throw him off. You got to remember that man, once he sees all those temper tantrums, he's got many other options over there. So again, that's not a man that is able to get out of his frame because of the way you act. Needs a little, for me, needs a little more growing up to do. And I think that this is what we're going to see with him right now.
All right, so let's see what you all are saying in the chat. Aaron Laura says, shout out to Thane out there in the bushes. Yes, he's always watching. Believe me, you all know who our founding fathers are, and they are always protecting us. So Lucy was talking about MGTOW and Western cultures. Almond Eyes is talking about MGTOW. People can choose what they want to. That's why I always give the disclaimer here. Do what works for you. Celine says, I am someone who is happy being single, but I would love to have someone who I match really well with. Understood. Thank you for sharing. Jurgen says, most men know what they want, and that is my program or not at all. I'm going to park here for just a second. And modern women and feminists are probably coming unglued right now when a man talks about my way or the highway or my program. Ladies, do what you want to do. Really, nobody cares. But I will say this, and one of the things that Thane said to me earlier today, I'll give to y'all for free. A woman submits to being a wife before she is found by her husband. Meaning, being a wife, being a mother, if you want anything like that, that's a traditional relationship that has lasted for thousands of years, is a selfless position. We don't get what we want first. It's not, if mama ain't happy, nobody's happy. It is in service to your husband, to the family, doing what you do best, which means it's not all eyes on me. So for a woman who was raised to be a wife or happy to be of service, getting on a man's program, we're like, absolutely, tell me, let me know, how can I help? How can I be of service? But if you are more of a modern woman or a boss babe, or think you're going to be with a partner, it's going to be harder for you because you're going to be challenging every time he makes a decision. You're going to be asking 20 questions. You're going to insist that he explains it to you. You're going to come back with, and it's not that you don't have an opinion. If you want to jump out of the window, that's fine. Do that. But I think that just saying what it is may help some of the women who have failed with the kind of men that they want because you thought you were running the show. And a man is always in charge of his own life. Either you help him or you don't, and that's fine. And that's how you get what you want, ladies. Just my 2 cents. We got Melody saying, hey, Maggie and Lucy. Eric says, I respect this platform. I remember you all since the days of Kevin Samuels. Yes, Lucy and I had a connection to the late, great Kevin Samuel. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the support, Almond Eyes. Let's see what else you all are saying. Neo Moses says, amen. Men are choosing because we have to make the family, and you just need to trust us and make sure we're leading before taking the offer. That part right there, ladies, you have to vet just as you are being vetted. You don't just jump in with your eyes all wide and say, oh my gosh, I've never been in this restaurant before. I've never been shopping here before. That's not a husband. The other thing that I heard today, ladies, if a man leads with gifts and spending and all this extravagant stuff that you have not earned, shout out to Thane, that means you're a line item on the budget. He doesn't intend to have you around for a long time. So be careful and make sure you vet that he's husband material if that's what you want before you say yes. All right. Celine has a question. She says, do you think women are too picky for not wanting to date a guy because of different political views, but he's great otherwise? No, I don't think so. You can marry someone and vote how you want to vote. That doesn't make a husband. If it's a deal breaker for you, that's fine. But I would say do what works for you. Aaron Laura says, great response. Thank you. I'm glad this is helpful, you all. I just want to make sure. Almond Eye says, both sides are picky these days, always wanting what they aren't ready or have prepared for. I hear you, Almond Eyes. I would say this. The world shows men every day that they are not good enough, not strong enough, not rich enough, not tall enough, not handsome enough, not anything enough. So the men who do make themselves, they weren't born like this. They go back, they work harder, they get it out of the mud so that they can present themselves well to the women of their dreams. I would ask us as ladies, Are we doing just as much work to prepare ourselves for the man of our dreams? Or are we just picky without doing the work? Celine says you shouldn't be fully invested until marriage. You shouldn't be fully invested until marriage on both sides. Not sure I understand. I want to disagree, but I don't really understand. If a guy didn't have the same political views as me, I would still give him a chance. Absolutely. You can miss out on a really good guy just because he votes differently. You have to prove it to get the ring, and you shouldn't do it for everyone. Absolutely. Not everybody's a husband, and not everybody is a wife. Almandai says he wasn't ready for a woman. He's talking about making money. I disagree. I think a man should make himself first before he goes to find a woman, because look at modern women now. She's not going to respect you just for your character. You have to have something to offer. So I would disagree with that. Celine says playing married couple when you aren't married is a no-go. Just as women say don't give wife benefits, men shouldn't do what a trad husband does financially at a boyfriend level. I don't really tell men what they should do. I'll leave that one there. As a younger woman, I would focus on making sure I'm the caliber of wife for the man that I want. Hello, Big Stags is in the house. Hey, chat. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, that's why feminists got mad. Here we come. Thank you all for... I got something.
Finally.
I got something. Hold on.
When is she gonna get to it? When is she gonna get to it?
Hold on, y'all. I've been waiting on this. Hold on, it's here. Wait a minute. I know, I'm having a moment. I have been waiting so long to do this. Hold on.
Thane Mithra has...
getting in my face, right? Swearing at me, threatening me, talking about what a piece of shit that I am. Okay. This woman's behavior is erratic, right? On her knees, dry heaving and hyperventilating, to the point where she took a iPhone cord charger. I had a 10-foot cord charger. She started wrapping it around her neck, started squeezing with it, saying how she wanted to off herself right then and there. This is what I saw with my own two eyes. You can't make this up. So what I start doing is I start freaking out to some degree mentally, because I'm like, I've never seen anything like this before. And I start taking every single sharp object out of the house. So I start taking all of the kitchen knives out of the house. My whole goal was I was going to put these in my car, and I was going to either drive them to my parents' house, or I was going to drive them to a friend's house, or I was going to get rid of every single thing that could be harmful. And something happened that I'll never forget. As I'm packing up my car, and as I'm packing up majority of anything that could be used that would be harmful, she looked at me, stopped crying for a second, and she said these words. She goes, "If you walk out that door and if you get in your truck right now and you leave, I'm going to call the cops and I'm going to tell them that you hit me."
All right, y'all, we are going to unpack this. As a boy mom, as any woman who loves men, there's a lot of men in my family. I have a man, I have 2 sons, I have an ex-husband, I have a father, I have a brother, a lot of men in my family, all men that I respect. And did you hear that this woman, when he decided the relationship was over, who hasn't had their heart broken? I've had my heart broken. I went home to cry in my pillow. But as Thane says here, the arrogance, the hubris, the entitlement, you're not going to break up with me. Then she starts hysterically crying and hurting herself, threatening to do something final to herself. And as he said, and I know his appearance, I don't know this man, y'all. This video came up. I just thought this would be something we could learn from. To go from hysterically crying and threatening yourself with violence when the man continues to leave or attempt to leave the situation, not do anything to you or say anything to you. All he said is, you know what? This relationship needs to end. Then you go from hysterical to calmly saying, if you back out of this driveway, I will call the police and tell them you hurt me. If that is not crazy, I don't know. I talked to my man about this video. He was like, this is what men have to deal with. This is why we have, hotkeys on our phone to immediately start recording. This is why we put things in place. You all were getting upset with the MGTOW. Again, do what works for you. But ladies, this is the environment that men have to navigate through to try to find a good woman. So for me, I cannot even imagine, and the way he's telling this story, that this happened to him. And again, I don't know this man, but my God, this happened to him or any man is completely unacceptable. She is, I won't even say. What would you say, Lucy?
I agree. I can only imagine him already thinking that she was not the one, and then seeing the real true colors show up when he said no to her. And that's the thing. She was probably beautiful, and she had never had a man saying, no, you're not for me. And she threw the tantrum because nobody had ever told her, no, your behavior is unacceptable. And that's why she started showing up it was kind of like from 0 to 100. She first tried to, hurt herself, and then all of a sudden she changes. Look at that manipulation tactics. How she went from being it was the worst thing that could happen to her, to then saying, okay, you're not taking this. You didn't bite on this one. Then I'm going to say, this is what's going to happen to you. That is absolutely terrifying. As a woman, it would be terrifying for me to be seeing it and to think that my brother or anybody that I love, my men friends would go through that situation. It is terrifying for me.
It's absolutely terrifying. So I want to be selective. I want to look at the comments from the men. Thank you all so much for being in here. I'm going to start back where we left off. I see the ladies have a lot of comments, but I definitely want to see what the men are saying about this, because again, I cannot imagine, but apparently this is unfortunately common. Ayo says modern women want a shortcut to being men's wives. They don't like us, but they want the resources. I just think of my boys, and I'm just, my heart breaks. And 117 about to go out into the world. And I just, my goodness, Thane is always here telling us that. Jurgen says this story is not an isolated case, ladies. The men in the chat are saying, Wrench Turner, shout out to you. Thank you for being here. Also from the Kevin Samuel space. Wrench Turner says, I've been through this before in the past. It's pretty common nowadays. Ladies, you don't have to be honest with us. If you've ever had these type of outbursts or this type of behavior, you deserve what you get. you're alone for a reason. That has been my big aha. I've been thinking, oh, there's a reason. No, bad behavior will have a consequence, because that's how it has happened to men. Jurgen says something similar happened to me. Oh my goodness. And AO says they don't like us except when we show some sort of display of wealth. They care about the substance or our future as men. Modern women can be dangerous. Wrench Turner says his sister, looking how she looked, help him out. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's continue on. I see the comments are coming through, y'all. This is just terrifying for me, but let's see what else he has to say.
I'm going to tell them that you hurt me. Now, I want this to sink in, because at the time I can't express the amount of fear that I was in due to the fact of the blatant lie that just came out of this woman's mouth, who supposedly loved me at all times and wanted the best for me. Never in my life would I ever lay a hand on a woman. I would never hit a woman. I would never hurt a woman. I mean, I would never even swear at a woman. I have two sisters that are both younger. I'm obviously a emotionally stable individual, where if something were to happen, even if I got cheated on, I don't think I would have that big of an outburst where I would just dissolve the relationship, and I know that I can go back out in the world and generate options. And that doesn't come from me being cocky or arrogant. That just comes from knowing what to do and knowing how to navigate the world and be a man who can go out and get what he wants. So there's no way that a woman would ever move me off center to the point where I would ever lose control of my temper and do something like that. What just came out of her mouth was a blatant lie. And I was so fearful in that moment, because I knew that I would be absolutely powerless. And what I mean by that is, let's say, girl walks outside, smacks her head against the brick wall on purpose, says, this happened to me, or he did this. Let's say it takes a frying pan, smacks herself in the face, like, you don't know. And she was so confident. She was so calm. She was so composed when she said it. She was dead serious, and it was downright evil. Because never in my life would I ever do that. Never in my life would I ever lay a hand on a woman. And she knew I would never do that, but she just wanted to get at me so bad. It was like she wanted to completely start to pick me apart, because I wanted to dissolve the relationship. And there was two things I could have done in that moment. There was an option A and there was an option B, and I was 100% in fight or flight mode. Option A was submit to her request, meaning don't walk out that door. Don't go and drive all the kitchen utensils, the knives, everything out of the house, and stay there and try to verbally work it out so that way I'm safe. That's option one. Option one would be submit to her frame. Now, growing up, my dad always taught me one thing. He always said, if anything ever happens to you legally, he said, never, under any circumstances, talk or give any information until you have your dad and your attorney there. That's what I was told my whole life. So I thought to myself, you know what? Obviously, I haven't done anything. Obviously, this is my home apartment I'm paying for. Obviously, majority of all of the things in here are mine. And obviously, I have every right to dissolve a relationship if I view that it doesn't suit me. Option A would have been easier. Option A would have been easy to say, you know what? She does have the power right now, because I don't know what could happen if she did that. But I told myself, fuck that. I'm going to take a risk. And I'm going to leave anyways. And I looked at her and I said, if that's what you feel that you need to do, do it then. Do it. I'm out. Walk to my truck. Girl runs after me. Clings on to my right leg. Is holding me. Will not let me get in my pickup. This went on for minutes until she finally let go. I drove out of the house. I can't remember where I went. I can't remember if I went to my friends or what I did. And I'm not going to lie, when I was in my truck, I was very scared. I was actually crying, right? I've never seen anything like this. I've never had my heart pump so fast. I've never had anybody threaten me in that manner. And it's so much different when a woman threatens you compared to when a man threatens you, because you're powerless. You're powerless from a physical and from a mental standpoint. All you can say is words, right, to a woman. All you can say is words. There's a couple options with your words. You can blow up and you can say, well, get screwed or blah, blah, blah. Or, you can also keep composure. But regardless, all you have is your verbals, verbal jujitsu, I like to call it. That's all you got. If a man threatens you, physical confrontation could escalate. But there's a high chance, like if physical confrontation escalates, you're flipping a coin, there's a chance you might win. There's also a chance if there's physical confrontation with a man, nothing might happen afterwards. Legally, nothing, like he might walk away and you might walk away and shake it off. That happens. But with a woman, you're absolutely powerless. You can't fight back and you can't do anything. So here I am being psychologically manipulated. I broke down and I started crying. And I was crying extremely, like I was sobbing, and I called my dad and I didn't know what to do. And I drove around for a while, and eventually I had to go back to my place that's where I lived, and that's where my stuff is, and that's where my phone is, and that's where, everything that I own is at. That's where my coffee maker is, extremely important. Go back, and, then all of a sudden it's a reverse shift where it's, I'm sorry I did that. I acted out of character. I want you back. What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? I love you. I could never lose you. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. I played into that frame.
All right, y'all. Still, I am speechless. And as a boy mom, I am terrified. But I want to shout out to this young man. Again, I do not know him, but this video came up in my feed, and I thought this would be a great video to react to. Shout out to this young man in his 20s. We can think of, whatever, he's wearing a robe, drinking his coffee. That's fine. But to keep his composure with a hysterical woman in the moment when she went from normal to after I want to break up with you to hysterical and inflicting violence on herself to then when he wants to leave, she's physically restraining him, holding onto his leg, threatening him, saying, if you leave, I will call the police and tell them you hurt me. He leaves. He's brave enough to maintain his own frame, terrified as a 20-something-year-old. And when he comes back to his own home, there she is saying, I'm sorry. I acted out of character. I really love you. I want you back. Y'all, if this ain't crazy, I do not know. And so, again, I don't speak to the men because I don't really have a place to, but I'm going to tell the boys, and I have told the boys, the first time you see anything like this, it's a wrap. There is no coming back from this. So ladies, if you have exhibited this type of behavior, like Thane said, some bells cannot be unrung. That is a problem that you need to fix, and no man needs to put up with your emotional chaos. Because again, remember back to the beginning, he's thinking about his life and his goals. Ladies, the way men look at us, they don't only look at us today. If that is how you handle getting bad news, what in the world are you going to do when there's a real issue, a health issue, a financial issue, a family issue? You're going to come unglued every time? No man wants that. So that's why he's saying, don't live with a woman. And it's not just living with her. Make sure that you have vetted her. Make sure that she is a wife. Make sure that she is your wife, and make sure you have established clear roles and responsibilities so she knows what she's signing up for before she gets the keys. That's what I would say to my sons. What would you offer, Lucy?
And I remember what he said, you don't know what you don't know. He had never experienced that kind of behavior ever. I'm sure he grew 10 years after he was put in that situation. I feel terrible because, he's trying to hold frame, but in the inside, that terror that he was feeling to see something like that. And he knew it. Notice how he knew it, how he would, told us at the beginning, he would, when they lay down and she was sleeping like an angel, he was thinking about, is this the woman that will make it through with me till the end? And men know, they know it, and that's why they're always watching, because in the end, that her behavior confirmed his fears.
So we're gonna wrap it up here, you all. There's a few. He talks about how he basically had to turn on the actor mode to exit that situation, and just because he knew he had a crazy lady now, and how he had to extract himself. Again, the video is in the description. Y'all can watch the whole thing without our commentary. But again, we are Maggie and Lucy. We are the founders of the Finishing School for the Modern Woman. It is an 8-week privately taught course. We only teach it twice a year, ladies. The workbooks have gone out. If you are interested in being the best version of yourself, you are welcome to join us. And we do have an advanced class coming in November about wife archetypes, but you must take the flagship course before you can take any of our advanced courses. So we will love you and leave you all here, but we will say one last time. I got to do it one more time. Everybody, please put Thane in the chat as we say thank you, Thane.
Thane Mithra has spoken.
The emperor, the conqueror, the champion, the lion is here. Reigning by
All right, everybody, enjoy your Saturday. I'll be back tomorrow with a cooking stream, making breakfast for the boys. They'll be here, and stay tuned. Keep your notifications on. Lucy and I will be back next week with more content for you. So until then, thank you, Thane. Thank you, Thane. Thank you, Thane. Yes, absolutely, everybody. We appreciate it. Until next time. Adios.